Welcome to the fifth and final lesson of this first module of this technical SEO course. In this lesson, we're going to cover W3C, why you should care about standards and why they're actually really important, and RFCs. First up, what is W3C? W3C is an international community where member organisations, full-time staff and the public work together to develop web standards. This is from their official website. The international community works with around 500 different member organisations and that full-time staff to kind of draw up standards for the World Wide Web. Its mission is to lead the web to its full potential. The standards that are developed by W3C used to be more rigorously adhered to by people who were making websites. However, with the advent of website builders and being able to basically create a website without even knowing HTML, there's less control over the standards and the quality of the HTML that is produced. So validating HTML is an important technical step. W3C offer a validator that's shown right that allows you to test and check on a per URL basis. But why should you care? While your site may appear correctly in some browsers, even if your HTML isn't valid, there's no guarantee that it will appear correctly in all browsers or in all future browsers, and this is directly from some Google guidelines. However, John Mueller of Google has said that validation doesn't really matter for Googlebot. He said as long as it can be rendered and structured data can be extracted, validation pretty much doesn't matter. However, clean, valid HTML should be viewed as a good insurance policy to allow all browsers, regardless of their age, regardless of how new or how old they are, to be able to effectively understand and render your content. You should still care about writing valid HTML. Clean, valid HTML is a good insurance policy, and it can help pages render and load faster. Broken HTML within the head section of a page can break Google's crawler, causing hreflang, canonicals, or other elements to not be seen. Invalid HTML can cause rendering issues, both for Google's and for users within browsers. If you've got really broken HTML, there's no guarantee that it's going to display correctly or even at all within browsers or for users. And broken HTML can cause crawl issues for Google. Correct, valid HTML ensures that pages and content will appear as intended everywhere that they're used. You'll want to use the Inspect URL tool that's available within Search Console to be able to test to ensure that Google can see and understand your content. Gary from Google has mentioned that many JavaScript frameworks and plugins can add invalid tags in HTML heads like img and div that actually break the HTML head. So this is kind of calling attention to the importance of valid HTML, and this was back in 2018. So a quick note on RFCs before we finish up the lesson and module. RFCs, or a request for comments, are used to develop a network protocol that is seen as standard. Almost all network protocols that are made for the internet are built based on RFCs. So HTTP, FTP, IP, SMTP, TCP, that's a lot of Ps, are all defined as RFCs. A lot of non-SEO focused RFCs are published. However, in July of 2019, Google announced that they were updating the robots exclusion protocol, which was 25 years after it was created. And this resulted in an extension to that protocol that was submitted to the Internet Engineering Task Force on July the 1st, 2019. The robots exclusion protocol was never turned into an official standard back from when it was created in 1994. Which means that developers have kind of interpreted that protocol somewhat differently over the years. And since it was created, the robots exclusion protocol hasn't really been updated, since 1994 to be able to cover, today's edge cases. This is a pretty challenging problem for website owners and webmasters because that kind of ambiguous standard is going to make it quite difficult to write rules correctly. An excerpt from the blog post that Google published around this was that they wanted to help website owners and developers create amazing experiences on the internet instead of worrying about how to control crawlers. Together with the original author of the protocol, webmasters, and other search engines, they've documented how the RAP, so the Robots Exclusion Protocol, is used on the modern web and submitted it to the IETF, or the Internet Engineering Task Force. Some key takeaways from the update that Google published ensure that the most specific directive is followed. If a robots.txt 404s, anything goes, so if it returns a 404, you can then effectively crawl anything, or a cached version is used for up to 24 hours. If a robots.txt returns a 5xx, nothing goes for up to 30 days, so nothing will be crawled if a robots.txt returns that 5xx. And if a robots.txt redirects, that redirect should be followed. And I highly recommend reading this blog post that is available on the Content King website that goes into the implications into a bit more detail of that new robots.txt RFC. Within this lesson, we've looked at W3C, why you should care about standards and why they're so important to SEO. And we finally touched on RFCs.